Hey, what's up, everybody? Coming back to you from Proto's Pizza here in Broomfield outside the First Bank Center.
If you don't like pizza, then fuck you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're eating pizza. We figured we might as well just keep talking about the event while we eat. So maybe we can make you hungry in the same sense of things. Hungry and thirsty, right? Drink up. Cheers, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too. So, hey, getting back to this event tonight, is there any way we could pull up like a whole list and run down the card from all the fights that are being done tonight?
Sure. You gotta say though, with full disclosure, because it's like the first real like bare knuckle event that I've been to and that you've been to, we probably only know very select few. So for us to like make any decisions on who's gonna do what, like I really don't know. I only go based off of what I know of the main like MMA fighters.
Yeah, but like
with
with any fight though, don't we always just look at the tail of the tape?
Right, yeah. But for any specific, for anyone that's coming here for like a specific insight, just know, full disclosure, we might not know what the fuck
we don't know shit.
Yeah, we don't know shit.
That's what he's saying. We don't know shit.
It's not a bad thing to address right off the gate.
We're all opinion based here.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And like he said, we're probably just going to look at a face and go, I like that one. You know?
So, I'm trying one of the slices of pizza that Nevin got here at the old Proto's Pizza. He got like jalapeno, pesto, meatball, artichoke. Dude, it's really good.
All right, so...
Hey, but I had to take the damn peppers off because I can't handle jalapenos, man. I can't do it.
Yeah, even for me, I was like, Jesus Christ. So, let's see. So, this is all based off of last name. So, we don't know the full name. I know one guy, but...
So the first fight that we got tonight is... and it's on the way undercard.
Yeah,
right?
it's called, so it's Willoughby versus Sable.
Okay.
Willoughby, it's his debut. Sable, he's lost one.
Okay, and this is what weight class?
Pretty sure it's lightweight.
So lightweight is the first match that we're going to watch tonight. So
there's that. Then you got Edwards versus Jackson in the light heavyweight undercard.
Oh.
Edwards weighing in at 180 pounds. It's his debut. Then Jackson at 171 pounds with a record of 3-2.
Okay.
So see how that one goes. You got a light heavyweight undercard of Mestis versus Weinmiller. Mestis being 185 and a record of nothing. It's his debut.
So a lot of debuts tonight.
And then Weinmiller, who is 185 pounds and has lost one. So
that's another light heavyweight?
Yep, another light heavyweight. And then you got...
two light heavyweights coming up in the undercard, right?
Yes. And then you hit, I think that's like the early prelims, which start at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard. And then after that, we start moving into the main card, which is the featherweight. We got a women's featherweight bout. Cameron versus Roman.
And isn't that the championship?
No. This is before all of that.
Oh, gotcha.
Before all of that. So,
okay.
Cameron weighing 135 pounds and one win versus Roman at 145 pounds as her debut.
Okay.
So there's that fight. Now I do know one guy in this next fight. We have Alvarado versus Brown. Alvarado was the WBO welterweight champion of the world at one point. Welterweight or lightweight, one of the two. But he was in boxing.
Boxing, yeah.
So he's the WBO world champ. But this is his.
Isn't he a Denver guy?
He's a Denver native.
And that's
Alvarado.
Alvarado, yeah. So got a Denver guy fighting tonight. That's going to be really cool.
Well, a lot of these guys are from Denver. Like that's what typically these organizations do. They like to pick up a lot of local fighters and get them. Either if you're in the league, they try to bring the fight to that city so that you're in kind of home field advantage. It's kind of what they always.
It's kind of like the music scene where they bring in a national act and they get local bands to open up for that national act, right?
Sure.
So that's kind of what it's like.
So, like I said, this is WBO, former WBO world welterweight or lightweight. I think it was welterweight champion.
Now, who did Alvarado fight boxing wise?
Well, like I said,
didn't we watch something on him?
It's been a long time.
But he fought like a notable boxer back in the day. I remember.
If you want me to look it up, I can. But
we'll come back to you with that. We'll find out.
I'll look it up right now. You keep
okay.
going. Do.
I like it. The beauty of hanging out with anyone in their 20s is they're so savvy with phone stuff, and I love it. Nevin always pulls stuff up. He's super quick, too, man.
Well, thing is, you rely on Siri too much.
Yeah,
you use your fingers.
The problem is
I didn't ask for any of this. No, you brought me here.
You know what the problem is? I never have my readers.
Didn't ask for any of
So I'm like asking Siri because I can't see what I'm typing.
All right, so Mike Alvarado, I don't know when he won it. Let's see.
Most notable fight.
Well, it's obviously when you become a champion, right?
Right, but he had to definitely fight somebody notable.
Yeah.
I would say, right?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? You might not know who any of them are. Trying to see. Yeah, you're not going to know who any of these people are. It doesn't matter. The point is that when did he become champion? That's really the main deal.
And that's fine. I mean, let's find out when he became champion. And he was champion for how long?
I think he lost it in 2013.
Okay. But a Denver native, right? He's based in Denver.
Yeah.
Is what I'm seeing. Which is totally cool. Gotta love anybody that is from Denver and gets to fight or do a venue in Denver. It's cool. Really want to try to keep promoting that because
he held the title in 2013.
Okay.
So, which makes kind of sense because that's kind of right after Mayweather pieced out of boxing.
Right.
So
he's been out of boxing that long.
Yeah. It's been a while.
He's been out of boxing for 10 years.
Roughly, because I remember being in high school watching like him versus Pacquiao, and then after that he was kind of he's not out of it. He's actually still doing a lot of events, but it's just lower promotion. So it's not through like HBO. It's not through any of like that stuff. Doesn't.
Well, Mayweather doesn't do anything right now.
He boxes. He boxes. He still boxes. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
He still boxes, but it's not on like.
It's not televised.
It's not on that. Well, no,
pay per view.
It is pay per view, but it's on a different. It's not on things like Showtime Boxing, HBO.
Really?
Any of that? Yeah, he does his own thing. He's a businessman, so he does more of his fights out in Saudi Arabia over the past couple of. Yeah, so he's it's not the same deal as what it is, but he is still fighting if you want to say that.
Okay. But so you say Saudi Arabia. What's that place that they just did the UFC out there? Where was that?
They do it at Fight Island. Fight Island.
And what's the name of that? Other than Fight Island?
I don't know. I can look.
Or is it?
I don't know. I gotta look.
But so Saudi Arabia is really trying to create more of a venue for the UFC, boxing, and maybe even the BKFC down the line, right?
It's held in Yas Island.
There you go.
In Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, that's where it's at.
Not Saudi Arabia. But
Right.
But
they're
of the Arabian nation.
right, but they're trying to bring more bigger events. When you look at boxing and UFC, and I don't know about the bare knuckle, but I'm sure they're probably going to be working on trying to do that too, because the BKFC seems like they're trying to really just grow into that next level market, wouldn't you say?
I don't know.
Of fighting?
I haven't. This is my first event in BKFC, so to be honest with you, I really don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I think the only way you're going to be able to know is if BKFC stands as long as UFC does.
right.
I mean, that's really, and this didn't happen for UFC until they started hitting their international fight weeks and start. I mean, but that was all way down the line. That's like near like 181, 180.
Yeah, but didn't you start watching the UFC? Like, what was the earliest UFC that you started
when
watching?
Conor McGregor started coming in, so it was like 187.
So 187, and they're at basically 287 now.
Yeah, it's almost 100 other main events later, and they're now starting,
To gain the traction.
But you also have to remember that COVID did a lot of damage on many of these sports. That's why they bought the island in the first place, was because of COVID. So if COVID wasn't around, who knows where they would be at?
Now, is Fight Island, is that just for UFC, or is that going to be for boxing? And
UFC purchased it. It's all theirs.
okay,
This is also, I'm also a moron, so I could be completely wrong, but I remember them saying that they purchased an island and called it Yas Island of the Arab Estates and called it Fight Island. That's all I know.
gotcha.
I'm assuming the UFC bought all of it, but
And the boxing world might not have anything to do with any of that.
unless if they pay promotion. If you pay your way, I'm sure they'll let you do whatever you want.
You know who I miss on the boxing side, and he's kind of a shyster, but he still made the sport kind of happen. Was Don King.
Yeah.
He always
I
made
get
big
it.
fights happen.
Well, yeah, because he was railing in all of the cash that Tyson made. Like that's
Right.
of course he was making fights happen. Because when you're making $2-3 million a fight back in the late '80s, early '90s, I mean that's railing in some coin and
Right.
then taking it off the top of the purse of Tyson. That's a rough go.
Well, I think you and I can agree that the boxing world is kind of
Well, it's yeah. Sorry.
is kind of gone downhill, so to speak. Wouldn't you say? I mean,
Well, I don't know. I mean, depends what your version of downhill is.
well,
Because-
okay.
because-
So when I was younger, okay, we used to always look forward to these big fights that were televised, and this was long before pay-per-view, and we used to watch fights Saturday night.
Right.
There'd be a fight, and we'd watch it, and it was just entertaining as hell. And really good fights. The Tommy Hearns and the George Foremans, and this is just on the edge of when even Muhammad Ali was
Right.
like done.
Sure. Yeah.
But like then you had the Sugar Ray Leonards, and you had the Golden Boy, and then you had the Julio Cesar Chavez, and you had all these guys that would come out and they'd box, and it was a big spectacle. But today boxing isn't like that to me. Like you watch it now, and it's more. It's not like it was.
Well, it's a couple of things. I mean, I think I agree with you. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of. I mean, let's put it to you this way. Through all of that, for all the fighters that you would watch growing up, especially with me, like I remember the Golden Boys and Canelo. I mean, I still watch Canelo.
Canelo's
today,
still going. I like watching him.
Canelo's great. I'll actually do another my raffle thing.
Yeah, just bring us another round.
Thank you. I really think that when it comes to the sport of boxing, it's all about the promotion. All those fights that you were talking about and all those fighters, they all ran through HBO. It was a spectacle alone to watch HBO boxing. Like when you watched boxing with HBO, there was some type of feeling that you were in on the action.
Right.
And I think I truly think that after Mayweather.
Do you think pay-per-view ruined it a little bit, or
no?
Not really.
I think it's the generation that ruined it. I think it's people my age that decided to look at boxing for what it is and say, oh well, okay, so there's this older guy who's been fighting all of his life and he's hitting his 50s. He's technically the greatest of all time, like a guy like Mayweather, like Floyd Mayweather, who went technically undefeated in his entire deal, and then decides to go into his own deal of fighting where he still takes on exhibition matches, but it doesn't affect his record. All these younger guys, people that are my age, are going, well, I can take it because I'm young, I'm able to do it.
Who, like Jake
mindset.
Paul?
Well, but that's what I'm trying to get at, is that you're trying to ask about why boxing isn't the same anymore, and it's because people think that they still can take on the greatest fighters of like the late 2010s.
And maybe they're trying to take them on. They're trying to take them on when they're at the end of their career,
or out of it.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, like, I wouldn't blame any of those guys to take on any of the older fighters to take on any fight like that, because it's a solid fat payday. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And you still have 75 to 70% of the same moves you had when you were in your prime.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? But the problem is that you see boxing is not necessarily it doesn't come across as a sport anymore. It comes across as an entertainment platform.
Fair enough.
And more of a, you got the celebrity boxing, I'll tell you this, if I ever get in a ring with Lamar Odom or any of those like big celebrity stars, just fucking end it. Just end it, because I won't do it. Like, I think it's a huge disgrace in the sport. Sure, it brings in a lot of money, but that's not the point of boxing. A lot of the boxers like Mike Tyson, Marvin Hagler, Sonny Liston, Muhammad Ali, any of those guys, they all came from shit. They all had a rough, like, fighting wasn't something you wanted to do, but you had to do. Just your everyday
to survive,
life.
Yeah.
And boxing was a really good way of expressing that.
No, you're right.
Now boxing is more of a way of going, yeah, well, I'm just better than you. And that's, yeah, sure, that has some of the
Do you think it's become more of like just a payday anymore, or
why do you? I mean, yeah, that's why that Jake Paul kid is trying to get in the UFC and be involved in mixed martial arts, because Dana White only pays the UFC fighters so much money. Excuse me. And I do agree that fighter pay should be better in like mixed martial arts, but when you're a boxer and you're making 10 to 20 million a fight, like,
win or lose?
Yeah, like win or lose. Well, 10 to show, 20 to win.
20 to win, or yeah.
You're in that environment. Like, why wouldn't you try? Why wouldn't you say, you know what? I'll take 2 years and dedicate myself to boxing. Sure, you pick up some nice skills, but then you face a guy like Canelo who has almost 70 fights under his belt, and you'll try to throw a jab or a right hook, and homie, you'll dodge all that like it's yesterday's news. Like, I don't know. Like, it's all about the quick. Like a lot of the kids that are watching boxing now are so involved in like YouTube influencers where it's a quick, instant satisfaction type of thing.
But the sport was never really about quick satisfaction. It was more about watching a battle go down.
Well, I think in all reality, the best way to look at it is it's the first man to make a mistake. Boxing isn't about a battle.
That's a good way. That's actually a good way to look at it.
Boxing isn't about a battle, or fighting in general isn't about a battle. It's mental warfare for 80% of it.
Well, but you had the battle comes from being beat down and being able to grab your peaches enough to say, you know what, I'm going to get up. And how many fights have we seen where guys are beat down and they stand back up and they come back to win the fight.
Well, sure, hard
you
is
know?
one thing. Yeah, hard is one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about man-to-man, you're going man-to-man. Obviously, both people that are doing the sport have a good intelligence on the sport.
Sure.
But boxing isn't about who has the better intelligence, because they both have probably the same IQ when it comes to the sport. It's all about who makes the first mistake.
Do you think it's more about training and agility and the intensity of the training? That's what I think it is.
I think you have to look at any combat sport as if you're going to war.
Yeah,
You have to.
I agree.
Like you're like yes, the sportsmanship and being able to share a moment of camaraderie at the end, but during the fight, before the fight, it's all mental game. It's a mental game. It's
Right.
80-20 mental physical.
Right.
Like the physical stuff comes because you decided to protect your left side when he's throwing in a left hook,
Yeah.
trying to go for the body. That's what the mistakes are. The mistakes are the most costly, not how you execute it. It's what the other person doesn't do right that causes him to fail.
You know, one thing I love about you, Nev, is that you're always so analytical when it comes to like watching UFC and boxing. Like, I mean, you really brought me. He brought me to the stage of the UFC, basically, of liking what the UFC does and how the fights go in. And we've done how many pay-per-views? Pretty much almost every one.
Good amount. I mean,
We're trying to watch, you know, and there's certain ones that you go, well, maybe we don't need to see this one, but there's certain people like the Oliveiras and the who's that guy that just lost, that retired? We just seen him.
Oh, like Masvidal?
Masvidal. But that was something that we had to see, because it was like, no, these guys are like in the prime of what they're doing. Oliveira still is one of the most
I mean, that guy's
fantastic guys to watch.
That guy's a perfection artist. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, you know.
But who did he lose to?
He lost to Islam Makhachev.
Makhachev, yeah.
Yeah, he's the lightweight champ right now.
And so, you know, do you think based on that, do you think there's going to be a rematch of that?
There has to be, but the only way for that to happen is Oliveira has to basically beat the number one guy or beat the next guy below him to earn that shot.
To earn it back.
Yeah, he's got to earn it back. Like you can't, you know, you have to have like a prover fight, like a fight that proves you're still able to be the number one contender, because he is technically the number one contender. Because him and the current champ switch places, basically.
Yeah, so he's the number one contender.
In all reality,
he has to have a fight.
You have to.
Before you can't just go right back to the champion.
You can, but it's risky.
Right.
It's risky because you're going off the same game plan and you don't know any better. You need a tuner fight to build the confidence.
Right, and so like the difference, which I'm excited for, the difference between like the UFC that we're so happy to watch and check out and cheer on and, you know, go for the guys that you want.
Sure.
I think this bare knuckle is going to be kind of a new flavor of the UFC, but I think it's going to kind of combine.
It just needs time.
I think so.
That's what it needs. Like, it's still so early. I mean, you gotta remember, like, when UFC was so early. Like, I remember watching a bunch of, you know, like I don't know if you've ever taken the liberty to watch UFC 1.
I have.
I have.
Maybe we should pull up some stuff like that and show some.
You can. But the point is that you got Royce Gracie, who is an incredible jiu-jitsu artist in a gi, versus Ken Shamrock, who is like.
And that was UFC 1.
Like one of the most scrappy looking fights in two different types of outfits. It wouldn't even be the same uniform. it was like a gi versus someone in Muay Thai kickboxing outfit, or
Gotcha.
like, you know, like.
So it's totally.
like,
It's totally.
the
Do you think it's? I don't know. Developed into more of the sport where.
Well,
do you think they lost a little bit of something by
the
taking
UFC
that
or
away?
what? No. I think it evens the playing field where it is now. Because there's a certain standard. You got to have a certain standard when it comes to any combat sport. I mean,
Right.
I don't.
But
you know,
I'll be honest. I like the, if a guy's coming out in a gi, I kind of think that's cool. I think it's kind of cool to watch that.
it's cool, but there's also a lot of advantages to having that. You can have more leverage on like trying to bring someone to the ground. Like the UFC currently evens the playing field by trunks and gloves. That's it.
Right.
I mean, it evens the playing field.
So tonight it's basically boxing without
Boxing
the gloves.
without 12-ounce gloves.
It's
Or
box.
10.
Yeah. So no gloves. Only what was the spec? Only 2 wraps of tape that are allowed around the hand.
Yep.
So some guys might not even do their knuckles. They might just keep them bare. I mean, it could be that. I did watch a little bit of the trailer for the fight coming in, and I seen that they just had it around their hand, and their knuckles were actually exposed. So,
I mean, I think it's to each his own. I'm not in there.
yeah.
Like,
Well, thank God for that.
to be honest with you, like I am excited to go to this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just think in regards to traction and having it be on the same page as the UFC, I think it just needs more time. It needs a lot of time.
Well, with it being BKFC 41, I think this is the beginning of something really cool. And I think you're going to start to see the sport grow a little bit, and we're going to see a lot of people that may transition right out of UFC into the BKFC.
That's what both guys in the MMA in the main event did.
Yeah,
Well, and in the co-main, they both did the same thing.
exactly. So I think
Who knows? I mean, I think maybe because it's not 5-minute rounds in UFC in comparison to 5 2-minute rounds in
Right.
BKFC, maybe there's a little bit more ability to keep the athleticism alive, because especially if you're older in the UFC for 5-minute rounds, that feels like an eternity.
Well, but the UFC is more draining. It's not a boxing match. It's everything. It's
But that's
grappling.
my
it's,
point. Is that when you're
it's-
older, the point is that when you're older in MMA and you're in there for 5-minute rounds,
Yeah.
or 3 5-minute rounds, 5 minutes feels like 2 hours.
And especially if your opponent is on top of you the whole time,
On top of you,
and
half your
wasting
age
your
and twice as fast.
energy. I mean, I get that.
I mean, I like I said, only time will tell. I'm no expert on combat sports. I mean, sure,
Right.
I have a good sense of where I think it could go, but in all reality, I think the only way you'd know if it's going to stick around is what they do in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
So I guess
you gotta stay behind it.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point that you make right there, Nev, because to be honest, I mean, we're kind of at the forefront of of something new and big.
Well, and like I just think about you with boxing, so like to kind of bring it full circle. I brought UFC to you because it's kind of the next best entertaining thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where like you see how boxing goes and you see what's going on with the sport of boxing, and now it's switching to MMA gloves and octagon. And in all reality, like I just think that the entertainment that you got from Muhammad Ali's, from Marvin Hagler's, from any of those guys, to current day like Conor McGregor's, Israel Adesanya, any of these guys, that's where it is now. That's the same focus. It's the same, like that's where the entertainment business is at now.
Yeah.
Rather than rather than what it is for boxing. Because boxing is unfortunately taking a hurt. Not saying a dive, because there still are some really good boxers.
Well, I think boxing is trying to work their way back.
Well, they have they have good boxers, but it's promotions of how to do it. HBO is no longer a thing anymore for boxing.
Right.
That was its number one deal,
Right.
especially for WBO, WBC, IBA, any of those organizations. Like that was the way to do it.
So UFC is pretty much
UFC.
they've taken
in my opinion, in an entertainment,
the reins.
In an entertainment standpoint, and like in regards to if you're counting pay-per-view buys, UFC is taking the cake.
Yeah. Well, I think that we got a lot of cool stuff to experience the rest of the day with bare knuckle coming up, and I'm excited to do the rest of the day, kind of walking around before we go into the venue.
Yeah.
So, thanks for the chat and lunch.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap this up right now, and then we'll come back with some more video and more fun stuff around First Bank Center. So, you know what our motto is, right?
No, I don't.
So the platform of Tommy's Lounge is live it loud, right? So on the count of 3, we're going to look in the camera and say live it loud. All right, ready?
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3. Live it loud, baby. We'll come back to you.
Later.